Every superhero universe needs a villain who leaves the mark. Marvel had Thanos, the old DC movies teased Darkseid, but James Gunn's new DCU, it's a blank canvas. And with the right villain, it could become something truly unforgettable. See, a villain isn't just the final boss, they are the glue holding the universe together, the shadow behind the heroes, the spark behind every story. So let's do something fun. Who should be the main threat of James Gunn's DCU? We will look at familiar faces, we'll look at fresh picks, and finally, I will tell you who I think is the perfect fit for James Gunn's DC universe. But before we move on, let's first state the obvious. What makes a great villain? And let's not overcomplicate it. A legendary villain needs these few things. Number one will be scope. They have to feel threatening, especially to the world, to the league, or even reality itself. They also have to be ideological, which means they think they are right. They reflect the darker side of what these heroes stand for. And another will be patience. These villains has to play the long game, lurking behind the scenes just like Thanos was in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And finally, originality. It can't feel like a recycled threat. We need something fresh. A villain isn't just someone who fights the heroes, they have to challenge the entire moral structure of the universe. In a world where James Gunn is prioritizing emotional depth, flawed characters, and complex storylines, the villain has to match that energy. They need to be the dark hero of the DCU soul. Who are the villains that will fit this role perfectly? Well, I'll start with the obvious, Darkseid. The ruler of Apocalypse, wielder of the anti-life equation. He's basically DC's version of Thanos. He was teased in Zack Snyder's Justice League and has been teased many times in any DC project. So people are familiar with him, but that's also the problem. Bringing him back will feel like retreating old ground, and Gunn has made it clear he wants his DCU to stand apart from what came before. Then there's Lex Luthor. Nicholas Hoult is definitely playing that character well because from the trailers and everything, he's menacing. Lex is the opposite of Superman in every way, a man who fears what he can't control, who wants humanity to stay on the top. He's the perfect villain to start things off. He can manipulate public opinions, create division, and make the world question whether heroes are even needed. But as much as we love Lex, he might not be the kind of villain to carry the entire DCU across multiple arcs. Lastly, we have Brainiac, a fan favorite, a criminally underused villain in live action. Brainiac is a cosmic level AI who collects civilizations, shrinking their cities and discarding the rest. He sees life as data. He's cold, calculated, and terrifying. He could easily be tied into Krypton's destruction, making him personal for Superman. But like Lex, he leans heavily into Superman's mythology. He'd be perfect for a standalone movie for a Justice League event, but he might not tie the broader DCU together in the way Gunn is planning. Now let's take a different route. When it comes to stating out who should be the perfect villain, what if the DCU central villain isn't one being or a god like Alien? What if instead of that, it's an idea? A movement, a council of chaos. What if the perfect villain for James Gunn's DC universe is the Legion of Doom? Now, the Legion of Doom is one of the most legendary villain teams in comic book history, formed by the arch nemesis of DC's greatest heroes. It includes names like Black Manta, Gorilla Grodd, Sinestro, Deathstroke, Captain Cold, Cheetah, and of course, Lex Luthor, their most iconic and consistent leader. Lex Luthor as the face and mind behind the Legion makes perfect sense. He's always been the master planner, the anti-Superman, the human who believes gods have no place on Earth. In almost every incarnation, from comics to animation, Lex is the man calling the shots. He brings the brains, the money, and the ideology. It's a take that I'd love to see Gunn explore. But regardless of who leads them, the concept of the Legion of Doom itself is what makes this direction so exciting and why it is perfect for James Gunn's DCU. In almost every modern cinematic universe, the trend has been to lean heavily on cosmic threat. Marvel had Thanos, the old DCU was building up to Darkseid. Even other franchises tend to rely on the big bad from space trope. But Gunn is always different when it comes to villains. And that's why I feel like the Legion of Doom works. Because the Legion of Doom is the exact kind of villain setup that breaks that formula. Instead of aliens raining fire from the sky, we get familiar enemies hiding in plain sight. Instead of one apocalyptic punch-out, we get a network of villains infiltrating politics, science, and public perception. This group doesn't just attack the Justice League physically, they attack them ideologically. They expose their flaws, they challenge their methods, they make the world ask, why trust these so-called heroes at all? And that fits James Gunn's vision perfectly. Because Gunn has said his DCU will be told in chapters, not in phases, with different genres, characters, and stories weaving together over time. That means the villains need to evolve with the world. The Legion of Doom can be that connective thread. One movie might deal with Lex's corporate schemes, another with Cersei's magical warfare, another with Captain Cold's disrupting of the Flash. Each story is standalone but tied together by a deeper, darker plan. Thematically, it's gold. Each member represents a twisted reflection of a hero. They are not just evil, they are believable. This gives the DCU stakes that feel real, tensions that aren't solved by punching harder, but by thinking smarter, standing firmer, and sometimes doubting yourself. The Legion isn't the type of threat you defeat in one battle, they are a movement, an ideology, a test. And in Gunn's hands, that test is going to be messy, morally grey, and unforgettable. Now it's your turn. Who would you put on your version of the Legion of Doom? Or do you think someone else deserves the spotlight as DCU's ultimate threat? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and hey, if you liked this video and the breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated on all things superheroes. Until next time, I'm out.